Well, hello. I'm Tina Ramsey with Stewart County Streaming, and we are here today with Mr. Daniel Perigo, who is the Administrator of Elections in Stewart County, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about voting and the voting process in Stewart County.
Like Ms. Tina said, I am Daniel Perigo, Administrator of Elections. I have been in the job for a while, and for 7 years, and I've been a Stewart Countyan for probably close to 35 off and on. And I have most of you may know me, but I've got a wife and 3 awesome boys, and I'm ready for some questions, I guess.
Okay, well, let's start with this first. You are the Administrator of Elections in Stewart County. What is different about your job from most county jobs? Are you hired, appointed? How are you?
Okay. I am not elected as a lot of the county offices. I'm appointed. The appointment comes from the Stewart County Election Commission. And so the difference there is that I have, the Election Commission is comprised of 5 people, and they are selected by the State Election Commission. But there are 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats that are on there. And so the reason there's 3 Republicans now is because the Republican Party controls the House. Now, a lot of people ask that question. So,
Good, good. What do you think is the most important part of your job?
I think the most important part of my job is to convey the integrity of the office, really, and to encourage people to register to vote and to vote, and to disseminate information, to give information out to the public, and just try to help them understand the voting process and make it easier for them.
Good. And you said you've been in the job approximately 7 years now. What have you seen that has changed in the election process during your time in office?
Well, obviously, there's always law changes every year. Most of those, when the state and the legislature finds out something that could make our elections better or more secure, they'll change those laws and make them better. So with that, there are different changes that have happened. One thing that I've implemented is electronic poll books. So we used to have a signature book, and now we do that electronically. And again, it's all secured. I do all of the processing in-house, and so it's all secured through us, but it makes it more efficient and effective for the voters and for my poll officials, and they seem to all like it a lot better. So that's one thing, and then we've got new machines, so that's a big change. And that actually stemmed from a law change that required us to have paper backups to our voting machines. And so those are probably the 2 biggest changes that I've seen.
Okay, good. You mentioned the new voting machines, and you just got them this past year. You had the opportunity to try them out in the March 2024 election. How did those new machines work out?
Well, they actually worked really well. Very, very good. I was pleased at the ease of use. I had a lot of positive feedback from them. Many people, when they looked at them, they were scared at first, and they realized that they went and voted, marked their ballot on one device, and when they got a printout, they could see what they marked. So it allowed them to be a little bit more secure in knowing when they put their vote into the scanner that it was exactly what they wanted. So
That's important.
yes, it is.
Is the election process in Tennessee and the United States, and especially in Stewart County, is it a secure process, and why or why not?
So I can speak on 2 of those. I can speak on Stewart County, and I can speak on Tennessee. Every state has different laws, but I know, as you can see, Tennessee is ranked number 1 in integrity, I believe 2 years running, and the laws that set up the security of the elections, we check everything. It's a bipartisan commission, like I've already mentioned, and everything we do is bipartisan. And so as we go through, there's a Republican and Democrat voter machine tech. They test the machines, they look at them, they make sure everything is correct. Then that goes to our election commission, who looks it over, makes sure it's all correct again, and make sure all of the machines are functioning how they're supposed to. And then it goes on, they vote on it, make sure it's good, and then it goes in, and everything we do has a Republican and Democrat attached to it. So when you come into early vote, there's Republicans and there's Democrats in here working. That way, when they open the polls, they agree, yes, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. When they close the polls, it's the same process. And then on election day, it's the same thing. So when you go to your polling locations, you'll know that there's Republicans and Democrats there that are making sure that everything's running smooth. So the bipartisan process really helps that, to make sure that everybody agrees. And then again, we have checks and balances. We have to do, after the election's over, we have to do reporting. We have to verify. We have to certify the elections. There's such a process that goes into it that allows us to be 100% confident in our voting system. So
Good. This year was the first year for Stewart County to have a county primary. How did that primary affect the election, if at all?
The only real effect that I can see would be that the candidates that wanted to run for office had to realize that it was ready, and they had to get their petition turned in earlier. So when you have a primary, it puts the general election candidates at the same time as the primary candidates. So with the March election, the August candidates had to get their stuff turned in the same as if it was a March election, and that included the independents. So that would be the biggest effect that it had.
And that was quite a bit earlier, wasn't it?
It was. So the deadline was December 14th for that, and so it was several months ahead. You just had to make that decision. Well, it was probably almost 6 months before. So.
How many people vote at the election office on election day?
So minus certain circumstances, that number is 0. Nobody votes here on election day. A lot of people come in because they're so used to early voting in this office, but nobody is just comes in to vote on election day. You have to go to your polling place on election day.
What are some challenges you face with elections in Stewart County?
I think the biggest challenge, and I think it's across the board for everyone, is just making sure the true information, the correct information, gets out to everybody. There are a lot of people that hear something and then repeat it, and they don't call and ask. I would note that the sources for information is my office, the Stewart County Election Office, and we have a Facebook page and a website, or the Tennessee Secretary of State Elections Division's website. Those are the places that when you go there, you're getting the true and right information. So I think that was probably the biggest thing, is just trying to get the information disseminated out to everybody in the county.
You do a pretty good job with your election page too, I'd like to say.
Thank you.
How is voter turnout and voter registration in Stewart County?
Voter registration in Stewart County, I believe, is high. In my opinion, I think that we do really well. We have last number I remember is about 9,750 or so registered voters in our county, with a population of now 14,000 is a big number. It's a good number for us to have. It's above the average of 65 or so %, and so that's really good. And then voter turnout it can be hit or miss. Sometimes people don't realize there's an election. As much as I try to get it out there, people may not realize that there's an election going on. And the other side is if there's a primary election, sometimes I'll hear, well, I'll see you next year. And you have to remember that if there's a primary election, the general's coming behind it. So, but the turnout is, for the last election, was a little slow. I think we voted just over 1,500 people out of the 95 or 9,800 or 9,700. So it wasn't great. The August election should be a little bit more, and then the presidential election in November, we generally vote over 60%. So we'll see over 6,000 people vote in November probably.
And that's a pretty good turnout.
It's a big number, yeah. The two biggest elections that we have is the presidential election in November, and then the county general election when all of the races are on. So that will be the August 2026 election will be a big one for us.
Okay.
And they vote just about the same amount of people. So we'll vote about 60% in both of those.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing. Why is it important to vote?
Well, first off, that's your voice. And so a lot of people might say, well, it doesn't count. Well, there's, over the last 7 years since I've been here, there have been several races that have been won by less than 10 votes or lost by 10 votes, whichever way you would look at it. And so county commissioner, city mayors, and so on have been very tight margins. And so if a handful of people went out and voted, and they voted one way or the other, it could change the entire election. There's many races that are won by less than 10, so it is important to get out and vote.
Okay. What is the one thing that you would like to convey to the citizens of Stewart County regarding elections and your office?
I would say that we're here to give out information. I think that a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to come and vote and how important it is, but we have the information if you need it. I would also note that a lot of people move in between election cycles, and they don't really, it's hard to remember to change your address with the election office sometimes. I would encourage everybody to make sure they change that. It'll make your life simpler on election day, but also our life as well. So.
Okay. And in closing, I'd like to turn it over to you. Anything I didn't cover that you might like to say?
I think that at the end of the day, if I were going to convey anything, this is an election year. Keep an eye out for the dates, election dates. July 12th starts early voting for the August election. And the other thing that I'd like to convey is that when you come in to vote, whether it be in the early voting in the office or at your polling place on election day, there's a lot of people that are working. You might not see them, you might not see all that they're going and doing, but there's a lot of people that are working hard for the county that taking that day, and they're working a long day. And so when you go in there and you see them, tell them you appreciate them because they do a very, very good job. And like we talked about, our election integrity starts in this office, and when they're out there, it starts with them, and they pour all of themselves into it all day. So just tell them thank you, and I appreciate them. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perigo.
Thank you.